Hello, can you see me? All right, okay, awesome. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go through this predicted paper of all the topics that are really likely to come up in the foundation GCSE paper 2. Okay, so we'll be going through the following topics, and obviously these topics aren't like exact or anything. It's not like they're definitely 100% going to come up, but they are really, really highly likely to come up. Okay, and so this is a calculator paper, and it contains all the topics that could come up on paper 2 and paper 3 as well. So you can have your calculator with you, and if you've already tried the paper, then use this to check your work. Okay. So let's go through the first one then on angles. This is pretty straightforward. So it says work out the value of W. Okay, so we're working this W out. We know that because this is on a straight line, we can work out this angle here. So we could do 180 minus 118. So that will give us 62. So this angle here is 62. And then we know that this is an isosceles triangle, which means that this must also be 62. So we're doing 180 minus 62 minus 62. And so W is going to be 56. And that's because angles on a straight line add to 180. And also in an isosceles triangle, angles will add up to 180. And two of the angles will be the exact same. So that's how you would go about that question. This second one, it says, these are the first 4 terms of a sequence. Write down the next term. So first of all, we need to realize, okay, what is this going up in? Well, it's going up in 7. So we're going to add 7 each time. So the next term is going to be 36. Yep. So for part 1, the answer is 36 because that's the next term. So tick it if you've got it right. For part 2, it says write down the term-to-term rule. The term-to-term rule is just what we're adding each time. So we would just say that you're plus 7 each time. And for part 3, we have to find the nth term. Okay, so because it's going up in 7, it's going to be 7n. And if we sub 1 in, we get 7, but we should get 8 for our first term. So it's going to be 7n plus 1. Okay, so you get 2 marks for getting that, 7n plus 1. Okay, because that's the difference that you would add on to get to 8. Now, the next question, this is on compound interest. Okay, so it says Lucia invests $5,000 at a rate of 4.5% per year compound interest. So what's the value of the investment at the end of the 7 years? Well, we know that we need to do 5,000, that's a principal amount, times by the multiplier for this. So to find the multiplier, we do 100, add 4.5, so that is 104.5% over 100, which is 1.04, and to the power of 7. Okay, so when we do that, we get 6,804.309, and that is our answer for 2 marks. Okay. Next question, using a calculator. So this one's a bit hard to show you online, but I will still try using the Desmos calculator. So we need to put in, so I would basically look at this, and then if you guys can also try this as well. So go onto Desmos Scientific Calculator, and you guys, first of all, we need to put the divide bit, okay? So then we're going to use the cube root. So this is Desmos Scientific Calculator. So we're going to put the divide bit to split it open like that. And then we are going to do 3 squared. So 3 squared times minus 7. So here times by minus 7. Yeah, this comes up as a dot for the times. And then 3/4 to the power of minus 2. So we could put the divide part, but write 3 on the outside, 4/5. And that all needs to be within the bracket. So if you don't write it exactly like this, you'll get the wrong answer. So this would be to the power of negative 2. Okay, so that gives us minus 57.5. Okay, so that gives us minus 57.5. And we needed to 4 significant figures. So minus 57.46. So the answer is minus 57.46. Okay, that's how you do that one. That's 4 significant figures. Okay, next, these are pretty straightforward. So you do need to know how to solve these equations. So the first part is x is equal to 18 times 3. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward because anytime that you divide by something, you would times because you need to change it. Yeah, that gives us 54. Now for the next part, 5x plus 18 equals 8. So 5x is equal to 8 minus 18. Now 8 minus 18 is minus 10. So x is equal to minus 2. Okay? The next part, it's 12x minus 3 is equal to 4x plus 21. So we can take away 4x on this side, and we can do 21 plus 3, which is 24. And so x would equal 24 divided by 8, which is 3. So to get 2 marks, you would need to get 3 for that. Okay. Now, next part, it says 60 boys are asked the name of their favorite sport. The results are shown in the pie chart. So what's the most popular sport here? Well, we can see it's swimming because that's got the largest sector. So the most popular sport is swimming. Now, the next part is saying which fraction choose running. So we know that 72 degrees out of 360 choose running because that is the total of all the parts of a circle is 360, which is 1/5. How many boys choose judo? So here we would do 30 over 360, but there's 60 boys in total. So we'd do 30 over 360. That would give us the fraction of the boys that we need. Okay, so 30 over 360, that is the same as 1/12. So we want 1/12 of the amount of boys we have, which is 60 boys. So 1/12 of 60 boys, and that is 5. Okay, so 1/12 of 60, that is 5. So that's how many boys choose judo. Okay, and then the last part, it's saying one of the boys is chosen at random. Work out the probability that his favorite sport is not judo. Okay, so the probability that his favorite sport is not judo, it is going to be, so it says there's 5 boys who chose judo. So how much out of the 60 is not going to be judo? So that's going to be 55 out of 60. That's not going to be judo. Okay. Now, the next question is on percentages. So it says the value of Martin's house has increased by 25% since he first bought it. His house is now worth 250,000. Okay, so here, before the increase, so we have a house before the increase, then it's been increased by 25%. So the multiplier is 1.25, and the new price is 250,000. Okay, so to get the old price before the increase, we would just do 250,000 divided by 1.25. Okay, so that is £200,000 before the increase. Okay, next question is on area. So these are like very likely topics to come up. Questions like this really likely to come up in the exam. So it says the diagram shows the floor of a room. Calculate the area of the floor. So to calculate the area of the floor, we do have to split it. So we're going to do 3.2 times 2.4 to get the area of, let's break it down into part 1 and part 2. So 3.2 times 2.4, that is going to give me 7.68. And then to get this one, we need this length. And so this length only is going to be 5.3, take away 2.4, because 5.3 is the whole thing. Okay, so that's going to be 2.9. So 2.9 times by 1.8, that gives me 5.22. So part 2 is 5.22. So we're going to add that to 7.68 to get the total area to be 12.9. Okay. Now for the next part, it says Henry buys varnish for the floor. 500 milliliters covers 8. So how much would he need to buy? Well, the area of the floor is 12.9 meters squared. So he would need at least 2 bottles, which would be 1,000. Okay, that was just 1,000. Okay, this is an interesting one. A lot of people do struggle here. So one interior angle of a 9-sided shape. Now, remember, to find interior angles, we do have a formula where we do the number of sides, take away 2, and then times it by 180 and divide it by the number of sides. So we have 9-sided, so we can take away 2 to get 7, then do 180 times by 7, and then divide it by 9 to get the size of one of those interior angles. So 180 times by 7, and then divided by 9. So that would give us 140 per interior angle of the polygon. Okay? So this is a tricky one as well. So it says a vertical flagpole BD stands on a horizontal ground and is held by 2 ropes, AD and CD. Okay, AD is 15 meters. CD, CD, we don't know CD. BC is 10.7. Okay. Angle DAB is 38. So use trig to calculate BD. Now, according to this is opposite and hypotenuse. So let's write opposite and hypotenuse. Now we know that sine. So we know the sine of 38 is equal to the opposite, which we're finding out, over the hypotenuse, which is given. So to find x, we would need to do 15 times by sine of 38, which is equal to 9.23. Now we have to calculate CD. Now we know if that's 9.23, to calculate CD, we just need to do basic Pythagoras. So 9.23 squared plus 10.7 squared. And then our answer is 14 when we root it. 14.13. Okay, so that is my answer for that. And last little question. It says Priya is at a fairground where she plays different games. She plays one game of hooker duck and then one game of balloon darts. So probability of winning hooker duck is 0.6. So you write 0.6 there. So the probability of not winning must be 0.4. And then for balloon darts, the probability of her winning is 0.45. So the probability of not winning is 0.55 because each branch, it must add up to 1. For the next part as well, it'll be 4, 5, and then it'll be 5, 5. Okay? Find the probability that Priya wins at least one game. So at least one game means win, win, or you can win and not win because you've still won the hooker duck. Or you can not win hooker duck but win the balloon darts. So this is a really, really tricky one. But what you would need to do here is you would need to times together the branches and then add the different ways you can do it. So 0.6 times 0.45, that's one way. Yeah, that's if you win hooker duck and win balloon darts. The next is if you do 0.6 times 0.55. So it could be win hooker duck and not win balloon darts. So it could be this or this. Or for the third part, it could be that you could not win the hooker duck, but win the balloon darts. So these are the three ways you could do it. So you can times each different way that you could potentially do this. So one way is if you do 0.6 times 0.45. Another way is if you do 0.6 times 0.55. And the last way is if you do 0.4 times 0.45. So 0.4 times 0.45. That is not win hooker duck, but win the balloon darts. So overall, the answer, it's it is 0.78. Yeah, so the answer for the last part is 0.78. I'm sorry, the annotations are gone. So that's the end of the paper. Give yourself a mark out of 40, depending on how you did on the paper. And we will continue and do loads more questions, loads more types of predicted papers and the like. And also you can download this paper on my website. So I will link it below as well. There is a small charge for it, but if you'd like, you can just download it. But that is the end of going through the paper. Okay?